Getting the right team is everything for a founder. You have to be able to hire the right team if you want to build a great startup. Today, we're going to look at a good process for hiring for your startup. We'll go through every single step in the hiring process. A total overview of the process from some very experienced people. This is Raw Startup. And our guests have tens of years of experience in hiring the best people. I know HR can sometimes be a little bit boring, but I promise you this is not going to be boring.
Until the contract signed, it was all fit. Is expensive. Find the money. Have a party, invite them.
Nice. He is passionate about hiring. Obviously, some fantastic advice coming here on how to do a good hire.
Interviewing is like dating. You're testing the chemistry. You're getting a feel for like what it could be like to come and work with you. Don't create something that does not mirror the way you're actually working in your organization.
We go through 8 steps all the way from nailing your needs to signing the contract. Every single step is covered. We're just going to get some great advice from the experts. With that, let's get started. Step number 1, nail your needs. These are the basics, but also the foundation for whatever you do later. So get this right.
The very first step in any recruitment is understanding what an organization actually needs and what skills are needed to solve the problems that you're facing. So that involves scoping the role and responsibilities. What will this person actually be responsible for delivering?
So what you want to do is you want to identify those 3-5 skills, which are core skills for that role to be successful, and use those as a filtering mechanism, but firstly as a presentation of said role in that job ad.
I think there, what you really want to think about is what are the experiences an individual needs to have had in order to be successful in your organization? Do they need to have worked with a certain type of technology in a certain sector or a certain size of organization? Because you can optimize either for quality or for cost. And what that means is I will pay whatever it takes to get a certain level of experience or skill, or I have a max price point and I'm going to find the best that I can afford at that price point.
So either you hire with a budget max and get the best person within that budget, or you say, I just want the best person at any price. Understanding the difference there is really important for the rest of the process, so it's good to make a decision on that right now. Step number 2, draft a killer job ad. Over the years, things have changed here, but the situation now is that we compete for the best talent. We have to sell our startup to get the right people on board. And even now, with the economy slowing down a little bit, this is still true.
Job ads is about selling. Like, you need to understand that talent acquisition is very much like customer acquisition. You need to let them know what is it you are proposing. Now, you would never approach your customer with, these are my minimum requirements to you. You would approach a customer saying, hey, this is the value we're going to bring you.
Your job ad is your pitch to the candidate. So it has to be clear, compelling, and ensure a really strong kind of what's in it for me for the candidate. And so many organizations get this wrong, where they write a very navel-grazing job ad talking all about the wonderful things the organization is doing and forget what the candidate thinks is important. So they don't care what you're doing. They want to know why they should be interested in joining you. So you need to tell them.
And candidates spend less than a minute on your job ad. So make it clear, what are you looking for? Like, what is it I'm giving you, but also what are we looking for in terms of skills? If you're not doing that, their attention span is lower than yours.
So you really need to use active language and describe what the individual will actually be doing. And it's important to make them both exciting, but also realistic, because you don't want to end up in a situation where you have misaligned expectations.
And there are 4 things skilled people are looking to understand. It's personal development, the purpose, the meaningfulness of that job, and the monetary reward. And these things, these 4 pillars, has to be clear and easy to understand from the get-go.
Really important point here. You have to see things from their side, from the talent side. Put yourself in their shoes. What's in it for them? Sell it to them. Let's also have a look at how the market has changed lately with more millennials in there and post-COVID.
More and more candidates today are interested in working with an organization that aligns with their personal beliefs and purpose. So we see candidates actively deselecting roles that may have a higher salary or better development because it doesn't align with how they see themselves. So that is something that you can really use to your advantage in helping candidates see how what your product does, how that can align with who they are as individuals. In addition to skills, what does it require to thrive in your organization? What kind of culture and environment do you have? If the way that you work is really chaotic and ever-changing, You want to write an ad that attracts people that are interested in working that way and repels those that would not succeed in that environment. So this is a chance also to speak about what you don't want. And what that does is it helps reduce irrelevant applications, which is a time saver. Examples of that could be, are you only hiring locally? Then make that very clear that you will not support relocation or visa costs. Do you require that people come to the office? Well, remote is absolutely not an option for you. State that very clearly.
Step number 3, get it out there. Now let's get some eyeballs on here and have as many relevant people see it as possible.
So getting the job out there, you're going to want to post and share it both publicly and privately. And as a starting point, where are your candidates hanging out? Where do they go when they want to look for a job? And you have to post the job in the right places. So remembering that we want to reach both passive and active candidates, sometimes job boards then are not enough because the best people are likely not looking for a new role. So you need to think about platforms, obviously like LinkedIn, but are there any startup boards, meetup groups, Slack communities? Get your job out there in that way so you're able to capture people that are not actively looking. They could also forward it to a friend.
But that is not all. We also have our network.
So one of the best ways to secure great candidates is to use your network. Tell people what you're looking for. And beyond just posting a job, then it is making some phone calls, sending some emails, engaging one-on-one to get people to support you. Not only do you get better results this way, but you build relationships. The startup ecosystem is so well connected. So this is a chance to use that to your advantage in getting opportunities with your network. Another fun fact is that referrals from existing employees or network are often a better fit culturally and can help reduce your hiring costs. Your people have great connections. They want to get fantastic former colleagues on board. Then you have someone with proven experience and a more likely culture fit.
Having them upload a resume and then asking them to manually fill in the same information into a form is not the way to keep someone engaged. They're most likely just abort, cancel. I'm sorry, I'm not ready to spend my time on this. So make sure that that journey to that first interaction is pleasant. It's easy. It should be done within 3 or 4 minutes. That's it. You would see they've abandoned the cover letter for good and years ago. What they're trying to understand is your past experience and your skills. So the cover letter, just abandon it. No one wants to write it. It's a utopia.
So no cover letter anymore. Takes forever to write, takes forever to read. Nobody reads it anymore. Total waste of time all around. Sometimes you can move a little bit out of the box to find the right talent. And here's a great example from Simon.
We were looking for customer success and customer agents, and we had a very hard time finding those. And we figured out that the hospitality industry, they were really pressured under COVID. And many of those who were working in the service line of hospitality were easy to onboard into customer service and customer success positions in tech. So you don't have to look within the box. Just try to understand, where do you see that skill and that behavior and that attitude in other industries, other roles, and see whether or not you can tap into that as well.
Step number 4, screen applications. Let's get this crucial point done first.
Review applications as soon as they come in. This lends itself to speed and creates a really positive experience for candidates. So once someone has applied, they want to hear back yesterday. This is like dating, right? So there's no upside to waiting until you have a full talent pool 2 weeks after the job has been posted. Your candidate may have moved on already, engaged in another process. If someone is a fit, invite them into the process.
So no waiting till all applications are in. Get back to people as soon as you can. And I'm sorry, I didn't always get back to people in time. Sorry about that.
I hope I don't offend anyone by saying this, but behavior and attitude doesn't matter in the screening process. You want to find a fit of skills. And you want to be able to do that in an effective and fair and kind way as possible. Putting someone through the first initial step based on your assumption of their attitude without having the minimum requirements or meeting the minimum requirements for core skills will just disrupt your process, and your cost of hire and time to hire will skyrocket. So that first initial screening is about, do you have the minimum requirements for the skills that we need to make our short-term strategy work in that unit or not.
You don't bring in candidates that don't check your minimum experience standards or requirements. And this can be really tough, but they have to meet the needs for the position that they are applying for. If that person needs to speak French, but they only have a basic level, it's never going to work. They might be a great person, but they're not the right fit for this role. Be firm.
I think it's important to understand that your job as a recruiter in that position is to be Darwinistic, right? You can do that by being kind and being fair and so forth. But your role is in the quickest possible way to determine whether or not this person or candidate applicant is a fit for that role or not. That's your job.
And remember, we are screening now. Don't try and make people fit. If they don't fit, they don't fit. The whole point here is to take out the people that don't meet the minimum requirements. Step number 5, interviews. Okay, we're at interviews. Let's start with how many interviews?
If you're doing anything over 4 to 5 interviews, you're doing something wrong. So one of the things that you want to think about is when you're interviewing people or that touch point, what you often see, you have like 4 or 5 different interviewers asking the same questions, looking at the same piece of paper and trying to, where you as a candidate reliving what you've already answered so many times before. You can consolidate that into a much more effective process where your cost of fire really falls down and your candidate journey really goes up.
Interviewing is like dating. You're testing the chemistry, you're getting a feel for like what it could be like to come and work with you. Don't create something that does not mirror the way you're actually working in your organization. Documenting your impressions after a conversation. If you're meeting a lot of candidates, so particularly in the early stages of the process, it's very easy for them to become mixed up in your mind or, hey, what was it that person said? Or how did I feel in that conversation? So creating that simple scorecard where you can document things can be really helpful. You can do a numeric scale if you find that granularity helpful. It could be a simple does not meet, meets, exceeds for the role. And getting that also from other colleagues that meet the individual can be helpful because then you can compare. And this also helps to ensure that you are avoiding bias. You're challenging each other on understanding what you saw and heard in the conversation.
So where do we get those requirements?
I'd use the job ad. So go back and what were those minimum requirements? And then you can say to what degree of those 3 to 5 things that I identified, how did they match up on those 3 to 5? Because again, you can create a huge long list, but you really only need to measure that small handful of base requirements.
We also need to measure culture. Does this person actually fit into the organization?
The best way to match culture is by inviting a cultural ambassador in the late stages of interviewing. A person who is by heart, mind, and past experience and record, a golden standard for what we're trying to build as a culture, not just right now, but also in the future, and have that person represent that company interview. This is what we're trying to do. This is what we're trying to achieve as a culture. However, also as a screening mechanism, would that person be a fit?
We want someone who will be able to thrive in our organization. Does that mean they need to be exactly like everyone already working here? Absolutely not. They actually should be adding and contributing something new and different to the culture. And you can ask some very simple questions like, tell me about the kind of environment that you thrive in. Tell me what a great day at the office looks like for you. What is something that really frustrates you in working with others? And through those responses, you can see how well does that match with the way that we're getting things done?
I hope you took notes of those questions. They were pretty good. Step number 6, have a coffee date. You may not have heard about the coffee date before, but it's a good thing to have in your process.
Invite them in for a coffee date. By coffee date, that could be come play ping pong, join our happy hour, come in for lunch, see what it's like to be here on an informal basis. And that way, a few other stakeholders also get to develop an opinion. And this is something you can use if you're on the fence at all, and you just want some extra validation points to see if it's the right fit. And it's a litmus test in both directions. And it's actually a great part of a candidate experience that you're saying, hey, come in and meet more of us. We'd love to show you all about who we are.
And I think it's important when on a coffee date that people are part of that journey understand their role. So their role is to interact in a natural way with the candidate rather than assess said candidate based on skills or past experiences or titles. The best dressed people and presenting your company as a possible dream, as a possible next 2 to 3 years of said person's journey. So always be selling.
What are we doing, Simon?
Sell. Until the fucking contract's signed, you're selling all the time. You bring in the best coffee, the best beer, the best wine. It's really important. Like until the contract's signed, you're selling. You're assessing and you're selling, and you're doing it in a kind way, in an effective way, because there is another one of you pitching another different dream to the same candidate, always. Like, I've been working with recruitment for over 13 years, and the number of times we've been sitting and negotiating with a candidate, and they're almost about to sign, and then say, hey, listen, I signed with a different company, and we didn't even know she was negotiating with different companies. We thought we were the one, right? It was all fucking fit. Always be selling.
Yes, that's important, and there are lots of jobs out there, but we want them to want to work right here. Step number 7, offer and negotiate.
So, you've determined your budget for this role early on, and hopefully you've already discussed that with the candidate, right? And you've been able to determine, are they developing in the range of skills that they're providing to you, or are they already maxing out and exceeding? And if they're in the early part of their career towards fitting into the role, then you probably can offer them something a bit less on the salary range. But if they already tick all the boxes and are coming from a more advanced journey, you're going to need to offer at the higher end.
Finding the right people is fucking expensive, and it's hard, and you're in great competition always. I do understand there are budget limits. However, if you're missing $1,000, right, that shouldn't be what makes the deal fall to the ground. Like, you need to understand that. I understand there's legacy. There are other people in the same team who will be making $1,000 less, maybe. However, that skill that you're looking for, if it's there, if the cultural match is there, if the attitude is there, if that person is verified all the way around, find the fucking money. It'll be more expensive for you to start from beginning, and the chances are you'll find someone who is less a fit, either in skills or in attitude or in culture. Find the money, make it happen.
Another key point here, you need the best people. Do you really want to optimize here, save a few dollars and not get the right people? I always want the right people. Obviously, if you're very, very far from each other, it's not gonna fly. But if you're close, you really want the right people. They're worth their own weight in gold many, many times. So find the money.
So what other benefits and perks can you articulate? So the amazing office, killer colleagues, the office dog. Can you bring in something creative around equity or vacation or development? Because the fact of the matter is that you can only spend $1 once. And if you have limited dollars and you're trying to preserve your runway, you need to get creative with the way that you're building packages. And if someone is joining, you could say, at a very early stage, they're going to expect that. That doesn't mean that you can be cheap and try to cut corners on the base pay, but you need to make sure that you're packaging everything. And again, where people are really interested in joining an organization that aligns with their purpose, use that to your advantage too. How much is that worth?
You want to make it as easy as possible for the candidate to understand what is your proposition, the monetary, non-monetary. And often people are not ready to have that discussion right now. They want to bring that discussion home, linger on it, see what it includes and doesn't include. And the best way to get the best quality in that journey is to present that in a piece of paper. Give it to her, give it to him. This is our proposition. This is what we're looking to give you to attract you to our position. When doing that, it's a small step, but doing that will make that journey much easier, much more effective. And you won't be in a position where he or she calls you up saying, hey, by the way, you mentioned pension or this. How much was it? It just prolongs the journey. Make it effective. And you know what? Even before you start signing the contract, send the template of the contract. They will be asking about the content, the clauses, everything surrounding their legal agreement between you and them.
Step number 8, sign contract. At this point, you cannot waste any time.
So you should have that contract ready to go as soon as you verbally offered, so that all you need to do is hit send. You may need to make an adjustment or two after any additional negotiation, but keep things moving. And also don't stop the process until a contract is signed. You might feel done, but you also don't know if that individual has other irons in the fire. So keep working with your pipeline.
We can't stress that enough. Get the contract out fast.
Whatever you're doing in our HR department, whatever you're doing, as soon as a business leader says, we need a contract, you drop everything and you send that contract first. I haven't seen once an episode where something you were doing was more important than getting that contract out the door.
Time is riskier. Get it signed right away.
Waiting 48 hours introduces uncertainty, doubts, and again, chances are she or he is talking to other companies and you're falling behind. Send the contract now, the same day. And that's it. There's nothing more important than getting the right people on board.
Okay, good. We have the contract signed. Now what?
Do not let there be radio silence until day one. It's really important to keep in touch. So dropping a line every now and then leading up to start date, keep them hyped about joining you. They're a part of your team now, and you want them to feel like it. So even though you've closed the contract, they still haven't set foot in the door. Anything could happen. So small stuff matters. Send them a t-shirt, have someone who met them, send them a note or connect with them on LinkedIn. What they're doing now is they are excited to join you. They want to go out and tell their network what a great place it is to work and about their new job. So give them great things to talk about. It's free marketing.
Just remember, you're always in a competitive situation all the way till the person starts.
You need to understand that until that person starts, they're not there yet. Dream job is a relative term. It's my dream job right now. However, understanding that they're talking with other companies, and there's someone always with better money than you, more money than you have, or bigger offices, or 2 dogs instead of 1. So what you want to do is you want to have that emotional anchoring. Invite them for dinner with the team. Invite them for the party. If you don't have a party, have a fucking party and invite them, because that emotional anchoring will make them doubt themselves when trying to see, hey, is this the right place for me or not? I've just got to offer 10% better, closer to home and so forth. Do that emotional anchoring and continue doing that throughout their start to make sure that they're onboarded even before they're onboarded.
Good word, Simon. Make sure they're onboarded even before they're onboarded.
No, I worked with a candidate recently that was, we thought this was the guy, right? And in the meantime, he was in another process. They sent him a full swag pack. The CEO was calling him on a daily basis, telling him how excited he was to have him join. And even though he was very interested in us, the other thing felt more connected and more safe. And we lost that candidate at a very late stage.
That's it, guys. You have an amazing new employee. Congratulations. If you want more content just like this, please consider pressing like and subscribe, and you won't miss any future videos. Thank you very much for watching Raw Startup. Now stop watching and go build something.